The murder trial of Jodi Arias in Arizona. For trial junkies, this one is about as fascinating as it gets. Lurid sex, brutal violence, and a defendant who's told multiple versions of how her boyfriend died in 2008. It's all unfolding in a courtroom in Phoenix, as Elizabeth Irwin of our affiliate KPHO reports.
It's been a wild week in the Jodi Arias murder trial. Arias is accused of brutally killing her ex-boyfriend back in 2008. She's been on the witness stand for weeks, and after the defense and prosecution finished questioning her, the jurors had their turn.
After all the lies you have told, why should we believe you now?
Lying isn't typically something I just do. I'm not going to say that I've never told a lie in my life before this incident.
The judge read questions on behalf of the jurors. Arizona is one of just 3 states that allow jurors to question witnesses. Arias has told several stories about what happened the day she now admits she stabbed and shot Travis Alexander to death. First, that she wasn't there at all. Then that 2 masked intruders were responsible. Now Arias claims she killed Alexander in self-defense. She told jurors he was physically abusive. Arias also says she can't remember most of the horrific details surrounding the crime. Jurors questioned that selective memory.
Why is it that you have no memory of stabbing Travis?
I can't really explain why my mind did what it did. Maybe because it's too horrible. I don't know.
Next week, the prosecution will finish grilling Jodi Arias, and then the jurors have more questions. For CBS This Morning Saturday, I'm Elizabeth Irwin of KPHO in Phoenix.
And joining us now is Jodi Arias, who's been in the Phoenix courtroom covering this case as a correspondent for In Session on True TV. Good morning, Jodi.
Good morning.
As we just saw in Elizabeth's piece, one of the most unusual aspects of this case is the jury's ability to ask questions, and they've asked more than 100 of them, nearly 200. How is that likely to affect this case?
You know, it could go either way. First of all, the questions are very interesting because the pulse of the questions are that we don't believe you. Yeah. We don't believe you. Why should you tell us the truth now when you have lied so much? Yeah. But she's answering every question. Some of them are honest. She's saying, look, I didn't want to implicate myself. I didn't want anybody to know I was there and that I killed him.
But
that's honest.
She
right?
said right there in testimony, lying is something typically I just do. I mean, that's a little scary. How do you trust that?
Right. I think she said it's typically I don't do, but it's what I did in this situation because I didn't want to implicate myself. I wanted to protect Travis. I didn't want our relationship to come out because their relationship was XXX rated. It truly was. And that's a big part of this case.
And that's a big question as these details start emerging about Travis. He has been painted as a gentleman, an individual who was a religious man. But now we're getting this other story, these explicit details about their relationship. Does that change anything?
Well, this is the defense case right here, and the defense is going to be going into its experts, but the defense is saying that she was a victim at the hands of Travis Alexander, that it started with sex, the dominance, the power, the control, the cycle of violence, then escalated. But there are so many things that she's talking about: domestic violence, the fact that he had pleasured himself to pictures of little boys, but there's nothing to corroborate it. Absolutely nothing.
There's also the fact, we're looking at these pictures of them here, I mean, she looks completely different then than she does now. Is that likely to affect the jury?
I think, you know, people change their appearance. So she was blonde and now she's brunette. But it's interesting. There was a question from a juror about her glasses. You know, what kind of glasses do you wear? Tell us exactly. So that means they didn't believe she actually wore glasses, but it was just sort of a facade for the trial.
The fact that the jury is posing these questions, how much can the defense use what they're hearing from the questions to craft a better argument?
That's a great question because we're in the middle of the defense case. So how lucky are they, right, to hear about that? And one question is, you know, you shoot him in the face first and then you say after that, he says to you, I'm going to kill you. How could that be? So they may need to go over some of the medical examiner's testimony. The bullet perforated the brain, but he also testified that he could have been a little mobile after that.
She's facing first-degree murder charges.
She's facing the death penalty. Isn't that amazing?
Could you think she could get the death penalty?
I do. I do. It could go either way. I mean, the majority of people are saying, I don't think she'll get death, she'll get life. But the defense is going to want a lesser included. They're going to want a second degree, just intent to kill, not premeditated murder. But you can't get away from that gun.
Jodi Arias, thanks so much for being here this morning.